Welcome to the show. Today, we're discussing the incredible lessons in William H. McRaven's book, Make Your Bed. Let's dive in.
All right, let's get right into it. We are unpacking the amazing ideas from Admiral William H. McRaven's book, Make Your Bed. Now, this book takes all the intense, powerful lessons he learned from Navy SEAL training and distills them into these simple, powerful principles that literally anyone can use. And you know what? It all kicks off with one surprisingly simple idea. Change the world by making your bed? I know, right? It sounds way too simple to be true, doesn't it? But trust me, this one quote is actually the foundation of a really deep philosophy about discipline, about resilience, and about what it really takes to accomplish something meaningful. Because, see, the magic isn't in the perfectly tucked sheets. No, not at all. It's about what that simple first action of the day really means and the chain reaction it sets off. And that brings us to our first big idea, the power of discipline. The whole concept here is that any real, meaningful change, whether it's in your own life or out in the world, it has to begin with these small personal acts. It all has to start with you. So McRaven really builds this whole idea on two pillars. First, the incredible momentum you get from starting your day with a win, any win. And second, having the guts to actually take a risk and step outside your comfort zone. Let's tackle that first one. This is the absolute key right here. Making your bed is the first task you complete all day. It gives you this immediate small hit of pride. And that feeling, that little win, it encourages you to do the next thing, and then the next thing, and it just creates this awesome domino effect of getting stuff done. And there's another huge psychological win here. Think about it. Even if your entire day completely goes off the rails, you still come home to one thing you got right, a bed that you made. It's this tiny little sign that, hey, tomorrow is a fresh start. But look, discipline isn't just about these small daily habits. It's also about having courage. McRaven tells this story about an obstacle in SEAL training called the slide for life. If you played it safe, you'd never fail, sure, but you were also guaranteed to never have a truly great run. The lesson? You have to dare greatly. You've got to take that risk. Okay, so once you get that personal discipline down, the very next thing you realize is you can't get very far by yourself. And that brings us to the next big theme, the fact that success is 100% a team sport.
This whole section is about three really powerful truths. First, that you absolutely need a team. Second, what the true measure of a person's strength really is. And third, your responsibility to be a source of inspiration for the people around you.
You know, in SEAL training, they had to paddle these super heavy boats through insane surf. If just one person decided to slack off, the entire team paid for it. It's such a perfect metaphor, right? Your success in life is always going to depend on the people you have paddling right alongside you. You got to find your team and you got to support them. So who do you want on that team? Well, McRaven noticed something interesting. It wasn't always the biggest guys or the most naturally gifted athletes who made it through. Nope. What really mattered was what was on the inside. When the going gets tough, determination, courage, and just plain persistence, they will always, always beat raw talent.
And this idea gets driven home with this incredible story from one of the hardest parts of training, swimming in freezing, pitch-black water. Everyone was just exhausted, totally ready to quit. And then one trainee just starts singing. Can you imagine? That single act of hope and defiance completely lifted everyone's spirits. It just goes to show you, in the absolute darkest moments, one person's courage can be the light for everybody else.
All right, so you've got your personal discipline dialed in, you've got a solid team, but what happens when life just decides to throw a wrench in everything? That brings us to our final set of lessons, which are all about building a truly resilient mindset.
These three lessons right here, they're basically the blueprint for mental toughness. It's all about how you react when things are unfair, how you reframe failure, and why you just got to keep going.
It's a question we've all asked ourselves, right? You do everything you're supposed to, you work your tail off, and still, things just fall apart. It feels so unfair. So what's the Navy SEAL-approved answer? McRaven talks about this punishment they called the circus. The whole team would get punished because of one person's tiny mistake. Was it fair? Absolutely not. But complaining about it changed nothing. The only thing that mattered was gutting it out and moving forward. The lesson is brutally simple. Life isn't fair. Drive on.
And what about when you just straight up fail? Well, in SEAL training, failing a task often meant you were headed for the circus. But McRaven noticed something. The guys who went through that cycle, who failed faced it and learned from it, they almost always ended up being the strongest members of the team. Failure isn't the end, you see. It's actually a vital part of how we grow. And that brings us to the last, and maybe the most important lesson of them all. In the training compound, there was a brass bell. Anytime a recruit wanted to quit, all he had to do was ring it. And a lot of guys did. But success, both in that training and in life, it so often just boils down to one simple thing: refusing to give up. Never, ever ring the bell.
So after all that, after talking about teamwork and resilience and facing down these huge obstacles, it might feel a little weird to bring it all back to where we started. But we have to ask, how does all of this connect back to that one ridiculously simple act of making your bed?
Well, see, your bed isn't just a bed. It's a symbol. It's the physical proof that you started your day with purpose. It stands for the personal discipline and the accountability that you need as a foundation before you can take on every other bigger challenge that's waiting for you.
And that right there is the ultimate point. That one tiny, disciplined act creates a ripple. It builds your confidence, which helps you dare greatly. It grounds you so you can be a better teammate. It hardens your resolve so you can face down adversity and never quit. These little habits, they compound over time, and they end up changing not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you.
So really, the question isn't just about whether or not you'll make your bed. It's about finally recognizing the massive power of these small, consistent actions. It leaves you with this to chew on. If you really want to change your life, or maybe even change the world, what's the one small task you're going to commit to completing tomorrow?
Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more book discussions, comment your thoughts on this book, and tell me, which book should we cover next?